This season on 1,000 Pound Sisters.
A major shift is unfolding in 1,000 Pound Sister Season 8, and it's not about another argument. It's about Chris Combs. Sources say the family's steady anchor may be stepping back to focus on his well-being, sending emotional ripples through Tammy, Amy, and the future of the show. Is this a temporary pause or a turning point that changes everything? Let's break it down. Season 8 of 1,000 Pound Sister may be unfolding behind the scenes in a way few viewers were prepared for. While the public focus remains on dramatic family moments, emotional confrontations, and life-changing milestones, multiple sources connected to the show say a quieter, more serious shift has been taking place. One involving Chris Combs, the brother many fans consider the emotional backbone of the family. According to individuals familiar with production, Chris has been reassessing his role on the series following what's described as a prolonged period of physical strain, exhaustion, and mounting personal stress. Though no explosive on-camera incident triggered the situation, insiders suggest the weight of responsibility, both within the family and under the pressure of national television, may have taken a deeper toll than viewers realized. And that's what makes this moment so significant. This isn't a storyline built on arguments or dramatic exits. It's about burnout, recovery, and the unseen cost of being the one everyone leans on. The brother who became the anchor. From his earliest appearances on 1,000 Pound Sister, Chris Combs wasn't just another supporting character. He quickly emerged as a stabilizing force in a family known for emotional volatility. When tensions flared between Tammy and Amy, Chris often stepped in. When motivation faded, he delivered tough love. When the mood got heavy, he used humor to lighten the air. Producers reportedly came to rely on him as much as the family did. He was dependable, calm under pressure, and willing to speak hard truths on camera. A combination that made him invaluable to the show's dynamic. But being the steady one comes at a cost. You can only carry that role for so long. One source close to the production environment shared, Chris has his own battles. At some point, the person who holds everyone up starts to feel the weight. His own health journey was no small fight. Viewers watched Chris pursue his own weight loss journey, undergo surgery, and work toward long-term health changes. What played out on screen, however, was only part of the picture. Major physical transformation, especially later in life, requires constant discipline, medical follow-up, lifestyle adjustment, and emotional resilience. Recovery isn't linear. There are setbacks, plateaus, and mental fatigue that cameras don't always capture. According to people familiar with the situation, Chris has been managing lingering physical strain while still showing up for filming, family conflicts, and production schedules that can be demanding. Reality TV doesn't pause because you're tired, one insider noted, but the body eventually asks for a break. Family turmoil adds to the pressure. Season 8 comes at a time when the Slayton-Combs family dynamic is more fragile than ever. Tammy's major life changes have reshaped the family structure. Amy's emotional struggles and personal transitions have added tension. The siblings' relationships, already complex, are evolving under constant public scrutiny. Chris has historically been the mediator, the one who steps between disagreements before they explode. Without that buffer, insiders say emotional situations have felt heavier during recent filming periods. Chris absorbs a lot. One person close to the show explained, he takes on everyone's stress, not just his own. That emotional load, combined with physical recovery and public visibility, can quietly become overwhelming. Reports of stepping back from TLC involvement. While TLC has not issued a formal statement about Chris's future, sources suggest he has been exploring a reduced filming presence. Not as a dramatic exit, but as a way to prioritize personal well-being. This distinction matters. Those familiar with the situation emphasize this is not framed as conflict with the network. Rather, it's described as a personal decision tied to pacing, health balance, and mental reset. He's not storming off, an insider clarified. It's more about sustainability. You can't pour from an empty cup. Fans sense something is different. Even without official confirmation, longtime viewers have noticed subtle shifts. Chris's energy, screen time, and emotional tone have appeared different to some fans, sparking conversations online about whether he's under more strain than before. Social media discussions have shifted from speculation about drama to concern about his well-being. Chris looks tired this season. He's always taking care of everyone else. I hope he's taking care of himself, too. Unlike typical reality TV rumors, the reaction hasn't been fueled by gossip. It's been rooted in empathy. The emotional toll of being the strong one. Psychologists often note a phenomenon where the most dependable family member becomes the least supported. They are perceived as resilient, so fewer people check on them. Chris fits that description. He's the brother who shows up, the one who handles tense conversations, the one who pushes others to stay accountable. Over time, that emotional labor can accumulate quietly. People close to the family suggest he has recently been more reflective, focusing on personal boundaries and long-term health, both physical and emotional. That doesn't mean crisis, it means recalibration. Production's silence fuels questions. TLC's decision not to clarify Chris's role publicly has intensified curiosity. Industry observers note that networks sometimes delay announcements during contract transitions or storyline adjustments. But silence can create space for speculation. Is this temporary? Is it a permanent step back? Is he shifting into a smaller role? For now, insiders say the situation remains fluid. But the central theme is clear. Chris's well-being is the priority. Why this moment matters for the show. 1,000-Pound Sister has always centered on physical transformation, but season the 8th of May mark a deeper evolution, confronting emotional sustainability, family burnout, and the hidden costs of constant exposure. Chris stepping back even slightly changes the family equation. Without his consistent mediation, tensions may surface differently. Viewers could see a more raw, less buffered dynamic among the siblings. It also highlights a truth rarely explored in reality television. Support systems need support too. A shift, not a collapse. Sources are careful to emphasize that this period is about adjustment, not collapse. Chris is described as thoughtful, aware, and proactive, recognizing limits and choosing to protect his progress. And in a show built around survival and second chances, that decision may be the most powerful example yet. Family tension rises as Chris Combs prioritizes his well-being. How Tammy, Amy, and production are adjusting behind the scenes. As questions continue to swirl about Chris Combs' evolving role in 1,000-Pound Sister, Part 2 of this exclusive deep dive focuses on what sources describe as the emotional ripple effect inside the family, and how the show's production environment is quietly adapting to a dynamic that suddenly feels less stable than before. If Part 1 revealed the weight Chris has reportedly been carrying, Part 2 examines what happens when the person everyone leans on begins to lean back. And according to individuals familiar with the atmosphere around Season 8, the shift has been felt more than viewers may realize. Tammy's reaction, support mixed with uncertainty. Tammy Slaton's journey has been one of the most dramatic arcs in 1,000-Pound Sister history. Major life changes, new independence, and personal growth have redefined her role in the family, but sources suggest that Chris's reduced emotional availability may be landing during a time when stability still matters deeply. Tammy respects Chris and understands he needs to focus on himself, one insider explained, but he's also been one of her biggest motivators. That presence changing, even slightly, is emotional. Chris has often been the sibling who delivers firm accountability without judgment. That balance of encouragement and honesty has reportedly helped Tammy stay grounded during difficult phases. Without that constant reinforcement, insiders say she's having to rely more on internal discipline and other support systems. This isn't described as conflict. It's described as an adjustment period. And adjustment, in a family that has always relied on strong personalities, can feel uncomfortable before it feels stable. Amy under pressure. without the usual buffer. Amy Slayton's emotional landscape has shifted significantly in recent seasons, with personal life changes adding layers of stress. Historically, Chris has served as a calming presence when Amy became overwhelmed during family disagreements. According to sources close to the situation, Amy has felt the change. Chris is the one who diffuses things, an individual familiar with the family dynamic shared. When he's quieter or less involved, situations can feel heavier. Amy's personality has always been expressive, emotional, and reactive, traits that make for compelling television but can be exhausting in real life. Insiders suggest she's been trying to be more mindful of how much she leans on Chris, especially knowing he is focusing on his own balance. But habits built over years don't shift overnight. That's creating what one source described as a learning curve for everyone. The family dynamic without its mediator. For years, the Slayton-Combs sibling group has functioned like a wheel, and Chris has often been the center point keeping it steady. When Tammy and Amy clashed, he stepped in. When discussions turned emotional, he redirected. When motivation dipped, he pushed. Without that consistent mediation, sources say conversations have felt more direct, sometimes more tense, but also more revealing. There's less filtering, an insider noted. People are saying exactly what they feel instead of waiting for Chris to translate it. That could lead to a more raw Season 8 tone, one that feels less structured and more emotionally exposed. Production quietly adjusting its approach. Behind the camera, the shift hasn't gone unnoticed. While TLC has not issued official commentary, people familiar with reality production say when a key personality's capacity changes, filming strategies often change too. Sources suggest production has been allowing more flexible filming schedules, reducing emotionally intense setups when possible, focusing more on individual storylines rather than group confrontations, being mindful of cast well-being during high-stress scenes. This doesn't mean drama disappears, but it may be handled differently. Shows evolve, one production-adjacent source explained. If someone needs breathing room, the structure adapts. The emotional weight of public life. Another factor insiders point to is the constant public attention surrounding 1,000-pound sister. Social media commentary, fan opinions, and online speculation can amplify pressure, especially for someone seen as the strong one. Chris has generally maintained a steady, private demeanor, but being perceived as the reliable problem solver can quietly create expectations that are difficult to live up to. There's an image people have of him, a source said, always calm, always solid. That can feel like a role you can't step out of. Choosing to prioritize well-being may be less about stepping away from the show, and more about stepping away from that expectation. A family learning new emotional boundaries. Perhaps the most significant change described by those close to the situation is the introduction of boundaries, something not historically associated with this family's very open, emotionally entangled dynamic. Chris reportedly being more selective with emotional involvement is prompting others to take more responsibility for their own regulation. That can feel unfamiliar. It can feel uncomfortable, but it can also be growth. Sometimes support means not fixing everything, an insider reflected. Fans are noticing the tone shift. Longtime viewers of 1,000-Pound Sister are known for picking